Hello, everyone. This is Super Eevee Master here, and welcome to my second episode of this of my new series, Race Reviews. We talk about we talk about the recent Spring Cup Series races. Well, I talk about in this live stream it's me, but if you want to join me in future race reviews, you can post a comment uh, asking me if you want to join these live streams in the future, and we'll see if we can work things out. Anyway, and I also want to, and before I talk about the race, I want to thank everyone because of my fans. We This channel reached up to 20,000 video views. So so thank you to all my fans for watching my videos and supporting me along the way. Anyway, so I am here to talk about the recent Sprint Cup Series race here. It was the Oral B USA 500 here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Pretty okay. I was not expecting this race to be as exciting and dramatic as what I anticipated, because I feel like for a while there I was almost giving up on Atlanta Motor Speedway, because the last few years, if you didn't already read that, the last few years, it's been kind of, oh well, they seem to be like super like forgettable like races. Like it's hard to remember like what happened in like 09, 10, 11, 12, and 13, and all those Labor Day races. So, but I think this race is going to be a race to remember. So 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 I'll just say, I'll start off by going through my thoughts on where everyone finished here today. Casey Kane grabs his first win of 2014 and gets a chase by. I honestly thought that like we would never ever get like a new winner before the chase, because I thought that we were going to get our P winner, and it looked like throughout like the majority of the race, we had people like Harvick, Logano, Keselowski, Hamlin, who have all won races. But Casey Kane emerges victorious. He came onto the scene when he took pit strategy, and then and then he, and then Casey Kane got really good restarts. It makes me wonder that if Casey Kane could have qualified better, he would he would had he would had been more dominant than what he than than you know than leading, because he led 25 laps. So I feel like if Casey Kane would have qualified better, he probably wouldn't have been more dominant and maybe had actually challenged Harvick. But we'll get to that in a moment here. Second place, Matt Kenseth. It looked like I like Matt Kenseth. Okay, so on the final restart, it looked like it was going to come down to like Casey Kane or Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth did a pretty good job of holding Casey Kane off in that second attempt of a green white checkered here, but uh, and he did lead, and he led 53 laps, and he was a driver who was definitely a contender for that win like all race long. So I gotta give props to Kenseth. So, and even though Kenseth winning that race would have guaranteed him a lock in the chase, but Kenseth was already in the chase anyway. He had enough points. He had enough points to get his way in on his own. So because of that, and this is very unusual under this new chase format, we now have two drivers clinching the way in. Two drivers clinch on one race. So there we go. Casey Kane and Matt Kenseth are in the chase, and I am glad at their end. Because of Casey Kane, all 400 drivers are now in the chase, and this makes it the third year in a row. And Matt Kenseth, who has been doing a lot more better than his teammates Hamlin and Kyle Busch. I think Kenseth, I think, I think, unlike last year, the spotlight isn't on Kenseth as much. I think Kenseth, he's been very consistent. So I'll say that. Third place is Denny Hamlin here. Denny Hamlin, he was very like strong like early, and I felt like, and he always had. I think every single time they came down pit road under a caution, Hamlin will always have like the fastest pit stop. So I will give so Hamlin obviously had the best pit crew of the night. But Hamlin, I don't know. Hamlin, he said it in his post race interview that that he didn't feel like that he would be a winner, but he felt like he would have like a top five car, and he expected to actually finish in third place. So Hamlin, and this is a good one for Hamlin, because I feel like Hamlin, I don't know. It's almost as if like since Hamlin got injured at Auckland last year, it's almost as if like Hamlin. It's almost as if it like broke Hamlin. So Hamlin has not been doing good. So I'm happy to see Hamlin get like a top five finish here. Anyway, fourth place is my favorite driver, Jimmie Johnson. Jimmie Johnson never led laps, and he started 16th. So I was a little concerned, but when I look at Johnson's last two finishes at Atlanta, they've been 34th and 28th. So I was concerned for Jimmy, but obviously I'm not concerned anymore. And it looked like Jimmie Johnson. I don't think Johnson would had a winning car. Yeah, I don't think Johnson had like a winning car at all. But I think Johnson, his car was good enough to get inside the top five. So I'll give props to that. Nice to see the 48 car. Nice to see that the 48 car finally have some good to finally have some like good runs. Also, I'll say that. So Carl Edwards, he led. Never mind, he didn't lead anything. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little confused here. I'm reading off of like an article, by the way. To find out where everyone finished and started. So Carl Edwards, he started 11th. He led zero and led no laps. But I think Carl Edwards, he wasn't really talked about that much. But I think Carl Edwards, a great top 10 ranking for Carl Edwards. I would like to see Carl Edwards do really good here because this is his last race with Jack Roush. So I want to see Carl Edwards do good. And Atlanta Motor Speedway, he got his first win here, and he also got a win in 2008 in the fall. So good for Carl Edwards. And Carl Edwards, I think I don't know how high it was. I think Carl Edwards was at one point like in the bout for the lead, but I'm probably wrong. Anyway, sixth place, Danica Patrick. She gets her best career finish. Her previous best career finish was 7th place at Kansas earlier this year. So good for Patrick. She's and started 27th. So Patrick started 27th. And then she got the free pass under a caution, and those mid-pack, and then she kept getting like better, and better. I almost feel like and I could be wrong with this, but I feel like Patrick, she does really good at race that like she does really good at like mile-and-a-half racetracks. We saw how good she was at Charlotte early on in Kansas. In Kansas is the mile-and-a-half racetrack where she got her previous best career finish, as I just said. But I think Patrick, she is good at these mile-and-a-half racetracks. I think they're really good to her, and she drives really well on them. And I'm surprised of how. And I am pretty shocked, and I was rooting for her. The problem is that she restarted on the high side on the last restart, which kind of made her fall from like 4th to 6th. But oh well. So good run for Patrick here. 7th place is Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman, he's on the chase bubble. Yeah. So yeah, Ryan Newman, he's on the chase bubble here, heading into the final race at Richmond. I think Ryan Newman is most likely going to get into the chase, but you never know. Because I believe as I'm going on here, Ryan Newman. So Ryan Newman, he is. So he is. Yeah, so he is like several points in front of 17 spots. So I think so. Ryan Newman is pretty much like locked in the chase. All he needs is like a really good, well, not a good finish, but he needs like a okay finish. I'll say that. So that's well. So I'll say that here. So good run for Ryan Newman, and then Kyle Larson, he finished eighth. A solid run for Kyle Larson. He started 3rd, and Kyle Larson. Oh well, he was kind of like a quiet driver throughout the whole entire race. And I feel like some people probably did expect him to finish a little better because Atlanta Motor Speedway, the surface is old, and Auto Club is also an old surface. So and Kyle Larson did really well at Auto Club, winning that nationwide race and finishing like a close second to Kyle Busch. So I'll say that. So good run for Kyle Larson here. Aric Almirola finished 9th. So Aric Almirola, I know Aric Almirola is in the chase because of his win at that stupid Daytona race. But Aric Almirola, I think at this rate, Aric Almirola, he just needs to get like good finishes because Aric Almirola, I'm pretty positive that Aric Almirola is going to be like the first of the 4 drivers eliminated as soon as we get to like Dover in the chase because Eric Almirola he's not like strong he's not really like strong at like any like track than other than these like restrictor plate racetracks where like anyone is good at. Greg Biffle 10th place. I was kind of surprised about Greg Biffle. He this was his first race in his new Ortho Fire and Protection paint scheme, which is a paint scheme that he's going to run a lot next year. So we'll be seeing that car in the future. For Greg Biffle, I feel like Greg Biffle, they did talk about him quite a bit compared to like previous races. But Greg Biffle, nice top 10 run for Greg Biffle, so I'll give him a plus for that. Dale Earnhardt Jr. 11th place. They didn't talk about like Dale Earnhardt Jr., but he was like stuck around like 15th like all race like long. So Junior, okay run, but I think Junior he could be a okay. I'll say he could be a contender for that championship, but I want to see Junior. I would like to see Junior run just a little bit more better. I feel like that you know what's kind of getting in his way is that you know he's not gonna he's not he's not one of those like drivers that's like good like anywhere like because he's not like Joey Logano or Brad Keselowski who's pretty much good at like every single racetrack. So here we go here. Jamie McMurray finished 12th. I'm still really still feel like super like sad that he did not win at Bristol, but next week we're going to Richmond and that's a short track, so maybe I don't know. So Jamie McMurray he finished 12th today. So as I mentioned, I've been saying this like all season long. I think Jamie McMurray he's been pretty consistently. He won the All-Star race, but he's had some pretty good finishes. But he's kind of like a driver that like NASCAR does not decide to throw the spotlight on him. Anyway, so Kurt Busch. This was a driver who I saw. Kurt Busch he led some laps. It looked like that he was going to contend for that win. But then Kurt Busch right here, as they came down pit road, Kurt Busch blew a right rear tire, during a set of green flag pit stops here, and I think in the right rear tire pretty much like ruined like his like day. So and it was kind of shocked to see Kurt Busch have a tire problem, but throughout the race, we saw pretty much our like winning contenders struggle. And Kurt Busch was one of the few contenders who struggled today. I mean, when we look at it, and then Joey Logano, it looked like Joey Logano could have contended for that. Looks like Joey Logano he started 14th, and Joey Logano actually made some really like big like headlines in qualifying because the only time Joey Logano before Atlanta, the only time Logano did not make the final round was Daytona July in Talladega earlier this spring, but those are restrictor plates. So when Joey Logano when he didn't make the final round, it was a huge shock. But Joey Logano he did get up to the front like mid race, but then Logano that first green on checker ruined him. But we'll get to that crash in a moment. Brian Vickers finished 15th. Well, it looked like that like Brian Vickers got penalized for speeding, but he did have like a top 10 car. So I am really like sad that like Brian Vickers did not get like a better finish out of Atlanta than what he probably should have had. Kyle Busch, oh my god. I think we'll get to the Kyle Busch Tony Stewart and we'll get to the Kyle Busch like Martin Truex Jr. thing in a moment here, but oh my god, Kyle Busch, you have to like pull like together. Jeff Gordon here. I thought Jeff Gordon he was another one of the chasers who looked like that he may have had a shot here early on in the race. I believe it was like the second caution. Yeah, it was like the second caution here. Yeah, it was like the second caution here. He was running second place, and then he blew a tire heading into turn one. Wait, was it turn one? It may have been turn three. Yeah, but he blew a tire. So Jeff Gordon, and I was kind of disappointed because I feel like for a while there he was on a hot streak, but now it looks like Jeff Gordon is taking a step back here now. But a okay rebound after blowing a tire to finish 17th. Paul Menard finished 18th. I think he was higher than 18th at some points, but Paul Menard, that green white checkered. I guess, and Kevin Harvick, probably the biggest heartbreaker of the entire day. Kevin Harvick, he led 195 laps, won the nationwide race, which was a pretty forgettable nationwide race. I'm pretty sure won that nationwide race. When this nationwide season is like all over, I'm pretty sure that his win at Atlanta is going to be pretty forgettable. Because that was a snooze fest. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He, well, actually, okay, Kevin Harvick was the final car on the lead lap. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. first car 1 lap down, finished 20th, and I'll just go here through. Michael Nett 21st, Casey Mears 22nd, Martin Truex Jr. 23rd, who was involved in that crash with Kyle Busch, Austin Dillon 24th, Ty Dillon, who made his Sprint Cup Series debut today, he finished 25th. So good run for first start for Ty Dillon. Justin Allgaier 26th, David Ragan 27th, David Gillen 28th, Reed Sorensen 29th, Cole Witt 30th, Landon Castle 31st, JD Elliott 32nd, Josh Wise, Brett Moffitt, Alex Bowman, Ryan Truex, Joe Nemechek, Clint Boyer, and Clint Boyer, I don't know, Clint Boyer, he broke a shift. He broke a shift during caution. So because of that, Clint Boyer, he 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 fell out. He was in the top 16, but now he fell out of the top 16, and now Clint Boyer is going to have to gain 23 points, which means if Clint Boyer is going to make it on points, he'll have to finish 23 positions better than Greg Biffle, because there's no way he's going to catch Ryan Newman. So Clint Boyer is going to have to go for like a really good finish, or maybe what Clint Boyer could do is cheat like he did at Richmond last year, if anyone still remembers like that race. So Clint Boyer, and then Brad Keselowski. Brad Keselowski was my pick. I was rooting for him the whole entire way, but he was one of the chasers that got screwed. And then AJ Allmendinger 40th. I think AJ Allmendinger, he was never mind. AJ Allmendinger, he went to the garage early, but then came back out. But then he came back out on the racetrack. Tony Stewart, so big headlines for this race. Tony Stewart, he returns to the car after missing the last 3 races: Watkins Glen, Michigan, and Bristol. And Tony Stewart, he had like a top 5 car like going there. He started 12th. I think he got to as high as like 3rd or 4th, and then Tony Stewart, through pit stops, he kind of got trouble back there, and then he got involved in a scenario with Kyle Busch. Marcus Aaron was 42nd here. He blew an engine. Mike Bliss finishes 43rd, last place here. So now like that's over. What I'll do now. What I'll do now is, okay. So when I look at like chasers are here. So we got Brad Keselowski. So huge. So we got like Brad Keselowski. Clint Boyer had issues. Clint Boyer had issues. Of course, we got like Kevin Harvick. Jeff Gordon, Kyle Busch. They all had like problems today. Logano, Kurt Busch. Yeah. So that's technically okay. So going into this race, 7 of the 16 drivers that were in the chase had huge problems in the race, and that's quite a lot more than what happened at Bristol, for sure. And I didn't think that like this race could meet Bristol. So there were tempers at Bristol, and apparently those tempers continued on at Atlanta, which I wasn't expecting Atlanta to have tempers, because the last time we saw like tempers at Atlanta was like Brad Keselowski and Carl Edwards, when Carl Edwards turned back Keselowski, and it caused Brad Keselowski to hit the outside wall. So there we go here. So when we look at crashes here, there were a few cautions for debris, but so the first like major caution, I believe, was like Jeff Gordon hitting the wall. So that was major. And then we had I wasn't expecting so many cautions actually heading into the race. I was expecting like 2 cautions, and that was it. But then we got like a lot more than that. So when we look at here, but when you look at like restarts, cars got like single file pretty quickly after like 3 laps. and we look at like certain things, and also another highlight was that on lap 67, I believe lap 67, Kevin Harvick led his 1,000 lap of 2014. So he's led more laps than anyone else, I believe. And when we look at, I was taking notes during the race, but after like lap like 300, I stopped taking notes because that's where things got like super crazy. So Jeff Gordon hit the wall. Okay, so let's talk about like Kyle Busch, because Kyle Busch, I don't know what Kyle Busch was doing. Kyle Busch is one. I think in NASCAR, Kyle Busch is possibly one of the most like impatient drivers in the sport. Uh, so after a restart, Kyle Busch wandered up the racetrack, and Tony Stewart was to his outside. It put Kyle Busch and Tony Stewart in the outside wall. It didn't affect Kyle Busch as much as it affected Tony Stewart. That affected Tony Stewart's car for the rest of the day. Later in the race, Tony Stewart blows a tire. I blame I kind of blame I want to blame Kyle Busch, but then another part of me says I shouldn't blame Kyle Busch because at Lamar Speedway, Atlanta has like no grip. Cars get loose out like all the time now because the surface is so like worn out and there's like no like grip on the racetrack to get a hold of. So yeah, part of me wants to blame Kyle Busch, but part of me also wants to blame the old surface of Atlanta. So there we go. So there it goes. So I did feel really bad for Tony Stewart, as I said earlier, and then we have yeah. Okay. So Brad Keselowski, my pick. For anyone who remembers, Keselowski brought out caution. He was running in third place, I believe. Yeah, Keselowski was in third place, and here's what happened. Okay, so Cole Wade. So Cole Wade, he was coming up pit road, and Hamlin had to slow down because of Cole Wade. Josh Wise was behind Hamlin, and Brad Keselowski was behind Josh Wise. Um, so so and Brad Keselowski got into the back of Josh Wise, which caused Keselowski to go into the outside wall, damaging the left front of his car and the right side of his car, pretty much like ruining his night. So he was third place going in, and Hamlin was in second place. And then later, and then about a lap later, after the crash was over, Brad Keselowski goes up to Hamlin. And it looks like Keselowski was going to like take out Hamlin because he got to like Hamlin's like side and decided to show and decided to give Hamlin. Well, he decided to remind Hamlin like look at what you did to my car. Yeah, so I think Keselowski, he was mad at Hamlin because I don't know if Keselowski saw Cole Webb, but I think Keselowski is mad at Hamlin for not going higher to simply avoid the crash. But I will say is that I was like, okay, so I don't know if Hamlin got stuck behind Cole Webb because the cameras were not on Danny Hamlin, but I don't really know. I think he could have possibly went to the outside instead of following Cole Webb entering the pits. Maybe, so that could explain that. And then, so then after that, they come up the road, and Kasey Kahne got to the front based on pit strategy. So then, he went. So they went that, and then Hamlin, and then I think the restart order was Hamlin on the inside, Harvick on the high side, and last year we saw how the outside lane just did not go, and that was the same thing for this year. So it was like every single start and restart, the outside line would just not go. And I think it's because on restarts, the outside lane does not have as much grip as the inside lane does. So because of that, we see drivers spin their tires and get loose on restarts. So because Harvick didn't get going, but Hamlin didn't have a good restart either. So that gave Kasey Kahne a great window to pass Hamlin, and then Kasey Kahne went right up front, and then it looked like that for like a moment, and then it looked like Harvick would catch Kasey Kahne, but then no, that happened, and then towards the end of the race, Harvick was actually losing ground to Kasey Kahne throughout the race, which was like a huge shocker to me, at least. I don't know. So to see Kevin Harvick dominate the whole entire race, lead the most laps, and then looks like that he's going to like lose the race to Kasey Kahne. It looked like Kasey Kahne was on his way to victory, but then Kyle Busch has to be impatient, and basically I don't know what Kyle Busch was doing. I don't know what Kyle Busch was doing like at all. He basically just like run. He basically just like went like he basically just like tagged Martin Truex Jr. here. Uh, and both of the drivers went into the wall. Kyle it looked like Kyle Busch. He was mad at Truex, so maybe like Truex was like maybe Kyle Busch got into Truex because Truex did something to Kyle Busch earlier before the crash happened. Maybe that's why Kyle Busch was bad. But then it almost looked like that, like Martin Truex Jr. was going to wreck Kyle Busch, but then that didn't happen. And then after the race, and then after the race was over, we saw Truex go. We didn't see a fist fight, which for a second there, I thought we were going to see like a fist fight, but the 78, between 78 and the 18, but then that didn't happen. So, uh, I gotta get a drink here. So then, pretty much, like Ron Trickster went inside Kyle Busch's race car to talk to him, but there wasn't any fist fighting, which kind of shocked me. But there were indeed some like officials there. There were no interviews from Martin Trickster or Kyle Busch. But Kyle Busch, I posted a comment. I posted a comment that said I think Kyle Busch's brain is possibly having like a meltdown because Kyle Busch is on because Kyle Busch he was coming off of like four finishes like he was coming off of like four consecutive finishes, 35th or worse, I believe. So I think Kyle Busch because that he was a little more impatient, you know. So then he basically just like drove into Martin Truex Jr. at there. So that brought out a caution, and then we go into green white checker mode. But then before green white checker, apparently everyone, but then apparently everyone, so then apparently everyone just decided to go pit road. I think they were good on fuel, but I think people were like okay, but I think people were like okay, it's a top people must have been like, okay, if the top five are comes down to pit road, I shall come down to pit road then. That's my guess. So then everyone came to pit road, and then Matt Kenseth came off pit road first. He took two tires, and the Paul Menard took two tires. Kenseth and Menard were the first two off pit road. Casey Kane might have fallen back. I think Casey Kane restarted like fifth maybe I believe or something like that. He may have started like fifth, or he may have started seventh, but Kenseth and Menard did strategy, and it worked for Kenseth and Menard. Until the next crash, but we'll get to that moment. So Kenseth and Menard, they did strategy. It took two tires, which I'm kind of surprised. Like I'm surprised that like no one like earlier in the race took like two tires, but I did. I did watch race day, NASCAR race day before the race started, and one of the five things to watch for was fresh tires. So maybe that's why. No one took two tires early in the race. But I think that I was actually expecting like more drivers to take like two tires, but oh well. Um, but that's okay. So then we got a restart here. Second green white checkered here, and second green white checkered. So we have Kenseth restart on the inside, Paul Menard start on the high side, and because of that, I knew Paul Menard was not going to get a good restart because he started on the outside, but then he also had like two tires, so his tires weren't as fresh as the driver behind Menard, Kevin Harvick, which okay, okay, I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying to get to the like NASCAR official like NASCAR YouTube channel here. Because I want to talk as it's going on. So yeah. So the video is titled "Leader Stack Up on Late Restart." Okay, so Paul Menard obviously did not go in because he had two tires and restart on the high side. Then we saw Kevin Hart go to the outside of him, but then Logano went to the outside of Harvick. So it was like three wide. And Atlanta Motor Speedway, you are indeed capable of going like 3 and 4 wide at Atlanta, but it doesn't really work, and we haven't seen in quite a long time of drivers going like 4 wide at Atlanta. But it was 4 wide at one point between Patrick, Menard, Harvick, and Logano. Menard didn't go in, that hold up Harvick, and then Logano had a huge run here. So because of that, Menard so because Logano was on the high side, but Menard kept on going like up, up, up on the racetrack, and clearly did not see Harvick or Logano to the outside. So because of that, it had to squeeze Harvick, into the outside wall, and Logano got some damage in the process, and so did Menard. Ed, Edwards and Biffle went way low on the apron right there. And one that happened, I said this in my live stream during the race, is that my dad was like NASCAR did not need to throw the caution, but I think that caution like had to come out because think about it, Kevin Harvick he hit the wall he hit the wall at a pretty reasonable like hard hit right there. And then there was probably debris, but there were like cars like everywhere. But if you saw like Matt Kenseth here, who restarted first, Matt Kenseth got ahead, got really far out ahead everyone else. And since my dad was rooting for Matt Kenseth, that's why he got mad because he felt like if the caution wasn't thrown out and they kept on racing, Kenseth would have won that race. So that like ruined Harvick's day, Logano's day, and Menard's day right there. In Menard's day. So then what happened was that so we got to our final restart here. So then we got to our final restart here. And then what happened was that Kenseth so the running order was Kenseth, Hamlin, Kane, and Patrick. And Hamlin and because Hamlin restarted on the high side here, he's not gonna have he wasn't going to get a good restart like, at all. And then, so because of that, Hamlin restarted on the inside. And I said before the restart happened that it was going to be a battle between Kane and Kenseth. And I was right. So, because of that, Hamlin obviously did not go in, but Kenseth did not have as good of a restart as he did the previous time. So because of that, Kane was able to go between the Gibbs sandwich and get on the high side. Kenseth was keeping it in. Kenseth was keeping in tow with Kasey Kahne. They were on the back stretcher here, but then what happened was that going into turn 3 and 4, Kenseth got loose. Kane got the really good run on the high side, and I think Kane possibly took the air off of Kenseth's car because Kenseth's car got loose off of turn 4, and then Kane cleared Kenseth just before they crossed the start finish line. And then Kasey Kahne basically pulled away because Kenseth was not going to have any shot. Kenseth had 2 tires, Kane had 4 tires. So Kasey Kahne, comes on the back stretch here, and then he comes out turn 3 and 4. Kasey Kahne gets his first career 2014, and his first one in 39 races. His last win was Pocono, August 2013. So, yep. So that's how the race ended. But I knew that. So yeah. So. And I think Kasey Kahne. I think that if Kevin Harvick did not, I told myself that like if Harvick wasn't going to win, then it was most likely going to be like Kasey Kahne. So I'll say that, and then so Kasey Kahne, he came out victorious. He's got a chase spot now, and so is Kenseth because he clinched his way in on points. So when we look at like the chase. There's only 2 spots that are not secure. It's Ryan Newman and Greg Biffle. Ryan Newman has pretty much like enough points over Clint Bowyer, who's in 17th, to get his way there in on points. I feel like even if like Ryan Newman like wrecks, he would be okay. But because of that, we have drivers like Clint Bowyer, Kyle Larson that are trying to get their way in, and we also have drivers like Austin Dillon, Paul Menard. We go to Richmond, and Richmond, it feels like that honestly in the last few races, the races at Richmond have been pretty forgettable, and maybe that's because like Richmond is like Richmond is one of my like least favorite tracks in NASCAR, which may shock some, but in my opinion, I really do not like Richmond, so maybe that's why I can't remember the races there. Joey Logano, he won the spring race here in a pretty dramatic finish right here between him, Logano, Kenseth, and a few other drivers, I believe. So chances are most likely we're going to see a repeat winner of Richmond, and maybe some of that drama from Atlanta and Bristol can carry on over into Richmond. but the race will be on 7 p.m. Eastern here on ABC. So I think going in the Richmond, I think I'm going to have to go with like one of the like Penske drivers. I think I'll go for I don't know. I can't really decide. Well, I think that as of right now, my pick to win Richmond, um, I don't. I can't tell if I want to choose like Harvick or if I want to choose like Logano or Keselowski. I think I'm actually going to choose my pick to win Richmond. I'm going to say is Matt Kenseth. Okay, I'm going to choose Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth. He had a pretty good run there back in April. He almost got that win. And hopefully Kenseth can at least get a win before the chase starts. I don't think that we're going to see a new driver in victory lane because when we look at because Richmond, yeah, I think Richmond play. I think Richmond. I think Richmond. It's hard to remember like the last like new winner at Richmond because we've seen like several of its like races like won by like Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin, and Kevin Harvick. So yeah, I don't think Richmond is going to do nice by drivers who haven't won this year, but who knows? So that's all I gotta say. As this as this race review is is going on at about like 35 minutes here. So yeah, so I think I'm going to end the live stream now. So to anyone who is watching, thank you for watching this live stream, this race review, and hopefully hopefully next week after Richmond, I'll come back here with a special guest maybe. But until then, I'll see you all later. This is Super Master. Make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and goodbye. And sorry for the stuttering for those who get annoyed about it. For those who do get annoyed about it. But yeah, so we'll see y'all later next week after Richmond to talk about like the chase. And bye.